Welcome to the fourth video for the FOQUS Basics instructions, and for this example we are going to show you how to connect one node to another node, or in other words one simulation to another simulation by using an edge. And for this example we are using the same example problem that we used in a previous video, or the second video in the series, regarding how to set up and run the flow sheet in FOQUS, and the link for that video is provided in the description below. So, assuming that we did everything correctly in our previous video, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off by creating a new node, and we're going to name it second, and we're going to insert an edge from example to second. So to insert an edge, you click on this Add Edge button, you click the origin node and the destination node. And if at any time you need to delete an edge, so what you need to do is click on the Select button, select the edge, and click the Delete button. But in this case, we do want the edge, so we're going to add the edge, click on example, the origin node, and second, the destination node. And we're going to once again click on the Select button. Then we have our node editor open, so we click this as a reminder for you all to click this to open the node editor. I'm going to select the second node, and we're going to insert input variables y1 and y2 in our second node. And for the output variables, we are going to insert z1 and z2. And for our equation relating the z variables to the y variables, we're going to type in f of z1 equals 1.5 times x y1 squared. So and by the way, this two-star notation is a notation for squaring a term in Python, plus or minus 0.5 times x y2, and f of z2 equals -4 times x y1 plus x y2 squared. And we're going to save this file. So we hit Ctrl S and click continue. So we have our equation. So just to make sure that this node actually works, we could always test the node by clicking this button, so to run only the second node for testing, so we're not running the example node. So we click this, and once again, now the run is successful, so we click OK. And if we go to variables, so we're going to set the min and max as -10 and 10. And we set the default equal to -3 and 2. And once again, if we click on this default button, we could replace all input variables values into their default values, but in this case we're going to select the S, and once again we're going to run this node for testing, and run successful, and the output variables are shown on the output tab. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select this edge and open our edge editor, which is this button right here. And as you can see, we have several features here. So this shows the index. So we have this edge here, and the index starts with 0. And the origin node is example, just like what we want. And the destination node is a second. So it's going to transfer information from example to second. And to adjust the curvature, the user simply needs to put in a number for the angle here and click anywhere on the spread on the FOQUS Flowsheet, and we can, as you can see, the curvature is adjusted, and we can say adjust to any value you'd like. And once you click the edge, the adjustment is made. And in this case, I'm going to click this button to expand this, to make it bigger. And in order to edit the contents of the edge, meaning what variables we want to set the input of the second node to equal, so we're gonna check this box for lock editing. And I'm going to expand this. And because the variables y1 and y2 are the outputs from the example node and the inputs from the second node, and we want to set y1 and y2 from the second node equal to the y1 and y2 from the example node, we can hit the auto button. And as you can see, we now have y1 and y2 from the example node equal to y1 and y2 from the second node if we click the auto button. And these checkboxes indicate that these two conditions are active, meaning they will be enforced during the run. So, and once again, we're going to click lock editing so that no matter what we do, we can't change this by accident. I'm going to close our edge editor and open our node editor. And we're going to run the flow sheet. And once again, the run is successful and it's completed. And if you look at the second node, notice that the input variables are now highlighted in pink, which means that these two variables are connected by an edge, which is what we want. And if we check the variable, you can see that y1 and y2 from the second node equals to 18 and 29 respectively. And we go to the example node, check the output variables, and it's equal to 18 to 29. So which means that the run is successful and the edge does its job properly. And now we're going to show you another way to connect variables using an edge. So we're going to save this file by hitting Ctrl S and clicking continue. And we're going to create another node. And this one will be titled third. And we're going to click the select button again. And now we're going to the third node. We're going to open our node editor, which we already have open. And for the input variable, we're going to select, we're going to put in x3. And we set default, the minimum and the maximum equal to -10 and 10. And the default value be equal to 7. And we're going to click this default button. And we'll place all the input variables with the defaults. And for the output, we are going to put in y3. And for the equation, we're going to our node script. So we're going to type in f of y3 equal to x of x3 divided by 4. I'm going to save this file and run this node for testing. And once again, the node run is successful. And if we go to our variables, our input is 7 and our output is 1.75. So the run is successful. So now we're going to connect the example node to the third node using an edge. So we're going to click our Add Edge button, click on Example, and then click, which is the origin node, and the third node, which is our destination node. I'm going to click the Select button again. And we are going to open our Edge editor. And in this case, there are two ways to access this edge. So one way is to click it, and we now have our index equal to 1. So this is edge number 0, and this is edge number 1. And our origin node is example, and our destination node is third. And we're not going to adjust the curvature, but in this case, but we are going to edit the contents of this edge. So we're going to uncheck this box, and in this case, we want to set the x3 in the third node equal to y1 from example, and because the names are different, so what we need to do is click on this green button to add a variable. And in this case, we got what we want, so we want y1 from this example node be equal to x3. And if we want to add another variable, we can always click the green button, but if we want to delete any variable, we could select the row and click the delete button. In this case, we got what we want, so y1 from this example node equal to x3 from the third node, so we're going to click lock editing so we don't accidentally change any of these values. We're going to close this, and once again we're going to open our node editor, and if we check the third node, the list of inputs, as you can see, x3 is highlighted in pink to indicate that it is connected via an edge. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run this flow sheet, this entire flow sheet. But first, we're going to save the file by hitting Ctrl S and clicking Continue. And we're going to now run the flow sheet. And run is successful. And once again, to check that the results make sense, so x3 is equal to 18, and we set x3 equal to y1 from the example node, so we check the output variables, and y1 is indeed equal to 18, which means that the run is successful. So this concludes the tutorial regarding how to connect multiple nodes or multiple simulations in FOQUS via edges. And thank you for watching.